Cattle raiding culture of the Ataker cluster is a traditional exercise. This tradition has of late turned bloody and violent in the sense that there has been lots of proliferation of light and heavy weapons given to the communities. Hence, the bloodshed, the killing and maiming, the raping and destruction of property.
The Turkana are a group of nomadic people from Kenya that depend entirely on livestock for their everyday source of livelihood. The Turkana form part of the pastoralist groups of Southern Sudan, Kenya and Uganda called the Ataker cluster. These are the Jie and Dodoth of Uganda, the Toposa of Southern Sudan and the Turkana of Kenya. Cattle raiding is part of the culture of the Ataker cluster communities. However, this culture has slowly transformed from being a viable activity into a source of conflict amongst these pastoralist communities.
You can either die in the race, you can either get rich or remain poor. Because as you go to raid the cattle from the rest, yours also will be raided at one time.
Seeds of Peace Africa, therefore, seeks to transform these acts of violence and the actions of the community to bring peace amongst the Ataker cluster.
We are a Seeds of Peace organization. Ours is to inculcate and plant the seeds of peace in the hearts and minds of children and young people, and to convince them to become agents of peace and social transformation in a non-violent way.
When I went out there trying to see what the programmatic part of this project entails, for example, in terms of reaching out to a certain number of reformed warriors, it was difficult for me to achieve all this number because, as I said earlier, the idea was new, the idea was contrary to their usual livelihood means.
Well, we have used sports as the vehicle for mobilizing the young people. Sporting as an activity that provides the youth with alternative forms of heroism.
The program Sport Leaders International was started in the year 2012. The exchange program is a partnership between NSA International, Seeds of Peace Africa, partner cross-border organizations, and Dutch Sports for Community Development organizations.
NSA and SOPA are engaged on this exchange that explores, what I may call successful stories of using sports as a means of enhancing peaceful coexistence in the community.
This exchange program has seen us take 3 peace and sports facilitators to the Netherlands way back in 2012. And most recently, we've seen the exchange component bringing in 6 sports facilitators from the Netherlands to Lokchogio.
The purpose of the program is to build capacities and to train the cross-border peace and sports facilitators and the Netherlands sports leaders. This is done through an exchange program training workshop.
When starting this whole process of exchange, we have been looking for participants from organizations that are involved in sports and community development. And these organizations could differ. They could be either on the implementing side, so for instance municipalities from the Netherlands that are actually carrying out sports for community development activities, but they could also represent educational institutes that train sports leaders and sports managers to function within community development settings.
The exchange program is tailored to impart knowledge to the Dutch participants and the local sports facilitators on how to use sports to nurture peace. The Dutch participants are expected to exchange ideas on best practices with the local sports facilitators. They are taught on methodology for peaceful coexistence and tools necessary to use to make sports effective in the respective places of work. Some of the models include conflict analysis with tools such as the conflict tree and the conflict map. The participants are also taken through culture and value-based sports.
Conflict happens in different stages. Triggered, there's confrontation, there's crisis, and then there is a ceasefire. It is important to conduct a conflict analysis. And we had to do this with the warriors.
The participants are then taken through the roles of a peace and sports facilitator in the community.
The other thing, you need also to facilitate for dialogue meetings. When called upon, you need to facilitate for peace dialogue meetings. As a peace and sports facilitator, you facilitate. Let's say you become a leader when there is something arising in the community and there is a meeting. You facilitate, you chair with them. You don't decide, but you give them room to express their feelings and get out what they intend to say at a certain meeting.
When you bring warriors from the different clan and you combine them, you give them change, yeah? Like the way that we have been seeing this feeling. You give them uniform, you give them shoes, then you play. Please, don't steal the cows of someone. Yes, another way around. Oui. So that's this now, and then you say you advise him, please. Better to make business rather than going and steal someone's cows.
Quite a lot of qualities go into in terms of the recruitment of the peace and sports facilitators, and that I believe key among them is first knowing the language, knowing the terrain where actually these warriors exist, and then to build trust between the peace and sports facilitator and the warrior. They need to have come from the same location. They know the language, they have the ambition, they know the content of the conflict resolution mechanisms, they know content on sport, and more actually above it all is that they are motivated by being able to work with the pastoralists themselves.
The qualities of a peace and sports facilitator include being creative and innovative, a role model, a team leader, and diplomatic to the community.
The training here in Kenya has been consisting of 2 major components, the component of theory and the component of practice. And throughout this whole process has been guided by through a participatory approach, where the learning questions of the participants were the guiding principle.
After the sports facilitators and the participants are taught the theoretical aspect of the Peace and Sports program, they are taken to the field where they apply what they have learned with the local community settlement in Turkana. The Dutch participants are taken through the culture of the Turkana people.
The arrival is really important. You know, if you arrive in the Netherlands, if you go to a meeting, or if you go to a village where you've never been before, it will be just a short arrival. And here, when you arrive, all the women, all the men, they are there. Everybody's sitting. They've prepared something, some incredible dance for you, and did some singing. And everybody presented themselves.
Certainly about the food. They kill the goat, how they kill the goat, how they prepare it. It's not like we do in Holland, but it's effective.
They then engage in a sporting activity with the warriors and the women in a bid to interact with the community. The participants learn how the sports facilitators relate with the sports leaders in the Turkana settlement.
We've got channels whereby we have the CRAL leaders and we have the sports leaders. We link from peace and sports facilitator, we link through the sports leader, whereby the channel of mobilization is done. We have also the key leaders, like in girls team we have leaders who are like captains or who are team leaders, and in the warriors team we have also leaders.
Tunatumia mpira na hiyo mpira vile tunatumia hapa, mpira imekuja hapa kutuunganisha sisi wote. Hatuwezi sema wanawake kando ama vijana kando. Hao wote wanawekwa mahali pamoja. Sisi wote tunacheza kama tu vile wamecheza. Sasa wakati sisi wote kama hata umechukiana na mtu na mkikutana kwa kiwanja pamoja, na wakati wewe unampatia mwenzako mpira, sasa mpaka hata huyu anaona hakuna haja tunakasirika na huyu, ama hakuna haja tu ugomvi na huyu. Sasa hiyo kitu inafanya nyinyi wote mnafanya hiyo kazi yote, mnafanya kwa amani, mnacheza kwa amani.
You don't need a lot to survive, because you see that if they're together with their families and with the animals, on one way they are happy. Well, we played with the children and we played with called a frisbee, and they have a lot of fun just with a little thing.
And the learning experience was very big. First of all, you see that people here do not have a lot of property and money, etc. But they're all friendly and open and warm, and they're rich in their way. And that's a very big learning experience for me.
The representatives of the Dutch organizations will go back to their respective organizations, will present the findings of the exchange the past week, and will prepare for the first training visit of Kenyan facilitators to the Netherlands in the spring of 2014. This training visit will mainly serve to further spread the knowledge and experience within the Peace and Sports program to the peers and colleagues of the representatives that have now been able to undergo this training in Kenya.
This is a program that is going to go on for the next 3 years or so. And we hope that through this we will develop mechanisms for continued sharing of experiences across the globe.
For the Dutch participants, this is not only an experience of the Turkana culture, but a learning platform that has enabled them gain knowledge on the use of sports in enhancing peace.